Yeah, it's all good. I ain't mad at you. As long as I can hear you, we will be all right. Oh,
Yep.
we're live, ladies and gentlemen. I I just gotta howl, people. How are we doing today? Cause I'm hype, you're hype. We should all be hype. Welcome back to the Wolves of Midnight podcast. I'm your host, Midnight. I am joined and welcomed again by Pack member Steven. Steven, how are you today, my friend?
I'm doing quite well, but my brother.
That is wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Now we are here to discuss some things, okay, involving a certain crusader wearing all white, looks up at the celestial body of the beautiful moon itself. Moon Knight, Avatar of Khonshu, episode 5 has happened Wednesday at midnight. Now, I had to work yesterday, so we couldn't really talk about it then because I had to work today, and it would have been like a whole lot interfering with sleep. But now that we are all caught up, and the finale's next week, and we watched this episode, Steven, I'll let you go first. Tell me your first initial thoughts before we dive into details. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to apologize right now. There's going to be a slight delay in the audio, so please bear with us. It's all good. But Steven, your first initial thought, your initial thoughts when you watched this episode. What did you think about it?
I thought it was kind of heartbreaking, really. I mean, they tugged at the heartstrings on this one.
I agree. I agree. Um, it's just like we're experiencing a character discovering himself, and it's like he's never really known who he is. He's not figured out his identity, and he suppressed it so much that he had to form another personality out of it to just feel normal. Like that's I really felt. Have you? It felt like watching Split with James McAvoy. That was like one of the first things I thought of. Um, and how about Oscar Isaac, dude?
Oh man, he's an awesome
Man,
actor. I've liked him ever since Force Awakens.
really? Okay, so my first movie experience with him was actually Robin Hood of 2010 with Russell Crowe, and he played King John. And I tell you, he played King John. He played King John. Straight
Oh wow.
tyrant, spoiled brat, would do anything and whatever to come after Robin Hood and his merry men. Just ridiculous. He was a traitor too. But Oscar Isaac, this might be his Emmy winning episode.
Oh,
Um,
I agree. I agree.
I yeah, because he really pushes the boundaries and goes so far ahead with his emotions. I mean, like he dives into it, and you feel for this character really going through these issues, and you know we didn't even get and we technically do you technically think we got the third personality? And right now I'm thinking back to it. I feel like we kind of did. They just did it differently than what we would have thought. What do you think?
Oh yeah, there's some speculation we've already seen the third personality, Jake Lockley.
hmm So, so I feel like right now, just based on what we saw, what if no, that would never mind. That wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense. Never mind. Because when we were going through the flashbacks, we were going with Mark. I was thinking. My first thought when we saw his little brother Randall, I thought that that would be the child. That they were going to use that personality, but they what they did was instead they kind of weaved it in to how it's like, we're going to talk about Mark's childhood and see how that's how I think they did that whole thing with the child, sort of kind of, especially when you saw the transformation he did when he turned to Steven as a kid and he first channeled him for the first time.
Yeah.
Oh man. I just feel like Steven, the mother treated him very unfairly. Very unfairly. And he was just a kid. And that's a traumatic experience for him too. And you abandoned him in his time of need when you needed him just as much as he needed you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I don't
I
think
mean,
she's.
he was hurting just as much as they were.
Hmm. And kudos to the dad for being really understanding in that time. And I mean, sticking
Oh
around
yeah.
with him,
Oh yeah.
because like he needs somebody. But it's almost like because he didn't have the best of both in a way, and how she treated him, it broke him. And
Well,
it's like,
yeah, she straight up abused him,
yeah.
emotionally and physically.
Hmm. And then she
I
drank
mean,
herself.
everyone wants to feel that mother's love, and then
Hmm.
I mean, how are you going to react if the woman who gave you life and is supposed to love you unconditionally hates you,
Yeah,
like with every fiber of her being?
right. And I mean, and it's like she treated him. He was the lowest of the low. Like he was vermin. Like it, and it just like the scene when it was his birthday. She came downstairs. The way it just rolled off her tongue that you were always jealous of him. Do you feel like she always felt that way, or do you think that that was just maybe part of her anger towards him? Because it just rolled off so easily.
I honestly think it was the grief and the loss talking, that she let it consume her so much that she had nothing left for him.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I feel that. I feel that. And the way she just beat on the door, like she wanted him. She was coming after him, and you could feel his fear too. You know,
Oh yeah.
and with that next
both
scene with.
both Oscar Isaac and
Mhm.
the child actor did a phenomenal job.
Very very well done, very well done, and the way that the whole thing was directed too was just
Oh
spot
yeah.
on. It was spot on. Um, Tell me, how did you? Now, I read the Kane Chronicles, which kind of introduced me to a lot more of that Egyptian mythology. I probably said this before, but that hippo goddess Tawaret, I could not think of her name for the longest time, but I knew it started with a T. And I was like, it's T A something. And they said Tawaret. Boom, there it is. And her taking them through the duet, and I was just like, this is crazy. They're going through the duet, Egyptian underworld, the scales of balance and the feather versus the like. How much are you enjoying just this Egyptian lore that they're giving us?
Oh, it's quite fascinating because honestly, I don't know much about the Egyptian mythos and afterlife, so you're kind of learning quite a bit just watching the show as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it's interesting
But it's also
because.
interesting how they
Mhm,
connected
go
it
ahead.
to Wakanda's afterlife, the ancestral land. So
They
it
remind me,
when
run that, yeah.
Terwat mentions the ancestral land, they're basically connecting Moon Knight to the MCU.
Right. So that's true. That's true. So then what they're pretty much doing here, they're setting up the supernatural. Because we've got the grounded and then we got cosmic. Now we're really going supernatural with this, is what it seems like. Uh because like you said, they're mentioning the Egyptian afterlife now. Um I think now that they're doing that, I bet that'll play into Thor, and we may see, we might actually see Valhalla, and that be the Asgard. We might see Valhalla. Think about that. We might see. Okay. Um. So bring it back to Moon Knight. The conversations between Steven and Mark. Well, not even. Let's not. We'll save that one. I want to go to Steven and Harrow and Doctor Harrow and those interactions. What what did you feel getting out of it, like that, with that how they were, their conversation and tying into the overall story at hand? What did you think about that?
I think the conversations that Dr. Harrow had with Stephen was, I think that was meant for us as a way to kind of confuse us a little bit to, keep us guessing.
Hmm. Yeah, I
So,
think because even with that, right, with keeping us guessing, and I think the whole point of it, I guess, for us to help to get to know him a little bit better. Maybe in that situation, maybe we're Doctor Harrow as the audience. Maybe this is what we're saying while he's in this pretty much limbo state of mind, sort of, kind of. Because, well, not even sort of, kind of. He's dead, but the only way for him to go back is, the scales had to weigh out and one soul had to be gone. Um, I thought it was very intriguing because I also was thinking to myself, well, if Harrow's kind of giving him advice like this, doesn't it tie into his character a little bit? Because he's trying to help him get to the source of it. And it seems like he was doing that with Steven in the beginning, but go ahead.
well, throughout the series, I've always called Harrow the nice villain
Hmm.
because he seems to. He's one of those villains that doesn't consider himself evil.
Yeah,
And the Doctor Harrow in the afterlife, I mean, he wants Moon Knight out of the way so he can accomplish his goal. So, what better way than to usher him on into the afterlife so he's no longer there?
that's clever. that's that's pretty clever when you think about it. You're right. And that's what sent them following them to the tomb. They discover where the what was it where Khonshu was laying at. Then he shoots him, and boom, here we are in this asylum. Um, I I really liked how not only did they with the Egyptian mythology, but Steven and Mark are clearly the major players here in this episode. And seeing their bond, and then eventually in the end, them becoming friends in a way, which makes it all the more heartbreaking
Oh
because
yeah.
yeah, and it's
I
they
mean, I
had that.
think they
Mhm.
even acted like brothers, is what I thought.
I feel that, yeah, yeah, because they were really starting to understand each other more. So Steven
Yeah.
understanding Mark and, well, why Steven was there.
Oh,
Um,
what about when Steven found out that he was made up, that he wasn't the dominant personality? Oh man.
that was, yeah, and the way he says it, not the point of me, not the point of me. What do
Yeah.
you mean, not the point? It's that stings. It's like, so you're saying this is the only purpose I served. Like, I never really had one. And you know what that reminds? Have you ever watched the show Lucifer?
I have not,
You
mainly because
haven't.
I don't really, because of my belief system, I don't really like that character.
No, I feel you. I understand. I was hesitant at first too. It is a good show. I'm not gonna lie. It is a good show. But I completely get it. I completely understand. It reminds me of the character with like Maze. So Maze is a demon, and at some point she's vying for a soul. Like, she wants to know, well, why she get a soul, because she didn't want to feel like her only purpose was to just torture people. She wanted to learn how to feel, to emote, to love, this, that, and the other. And she don't really, in a way, she does kind of get one, but not in the way she was thinking of getting one. But that's kind of what that reminded me of in a way, with her,
Mm.
because the whole purpose, searching for purpose and all. But just then the fight scene on the boat and just the back and forth. I don't. Oh man, I'm hurt, man.
Oh, I don't even want to talk about him going over the side yet.
Oh my god. It's just, oh man, yeah. It was just rough. It was rough, and the way.
Because, I mean, honestly,
Mhm.
Steven is actually my favorite personality, is not just because we share the same first name.
No, because he's really like, you get to know him, and he's really likable. He's just a nice guy. He just goes about his business.
And he was kind of the moral compass of the personalities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because he always challenged Mark, and he always pushed
Hmm.
Mark. And I think That's going to be the significance of what took place. Steven's sacrifice is supposed to make Mark better in a way. You get what I mean?
Well, all I can say is they better bring him back.
I look. I hope so. They have to. There has to be a moment in the end where where Moon Knight's victorious, and Steven just pops up and says like "good job" or something.
Yeah. Let me ask
Oh,
you a question.
mm-hmm,
Um, they had the goddess had to take both their hearts and put them on the scale to see if they would balance, and they were out of balance as long as Steven was there. But my question is, see, I thought they were going to finally bring out the Jake Lockley personality,
mm-hmm.
because how could it balance out if it doesn't have all three hearts? Because then that would be the whole person.
That's why I think. Well, I know it's not it, but that's kind of what you're saying is kind of what I was thinking at first with the whole child personality. When they introduced him as a kid, I think that's what they were trying to allude to. And maybe they were playing a trick on us with the third personality being there. Um, and instead they just kind of really want to focus on Mark and Steven. Now it wouldn't be fair because that's like a point because then I would say, well, that's a pointless tease. Like, why would you do that if you're not gonna show us the third personality? So no, but that's a good question. I don't know. What if
You see, I think they showed
mm,
the little brother because he represented him and the mom represented the traumatic experience that caused the DID,
mhm,
the other personalities to
yeah,
come to the surface.
right. Um that's a good question, man. I think what I think Khonshu may have a role to play in it maybe. It might this might be far fetched, but go ahead.
There's some thought about that because in the comics, Khonshu showed himself to Mark even as a child. So
Mhm.
there's some speculation that Khonshu has been kind of grooming him. So
So you think maybe Khonshu was grooming him since the beginning and mm, because
yeah, because even he said in the episode that he had a
a
fractured
fractured
and
mind.
broken mind,
Mhm.
which made him the perfect candidate because Khonshu could more easily manipulate him.
Manipulate him. Yep. And Steven said it himself. He's like, "My God,
Oh
he was
yeah,
manipulating you from the beginning." And I'm like, "Yes." So
yeah.
that could be true. Yeah. I think that's a possible thing that maybe
I mean,
Khonshu
part of the manipulation was he kept threatening Mark that he would take Layla as his new avatar, and he knew Mark didn't want that. So
right.
Mark had to keep serving him.
Mm. And maybe in serving him it broke his mind even more.
Well, I
Hmm.
do believe in the comics he develops more alternate personalities as well.
Okay. Hmm. And you know, if they were gonna do a season two, that would work perfectly. Because then, if we don't have Steven in the follow ups, at least we get another one that we could possibly follow. Maybe some event takes place and that happens to Mark, and it kind of messes with him a bit again. Maybe let's say next season they would they did another season, he loses Layla, and that's the thing that sends him over the edge, and he develops that other personality to suppress his trauma. But I don't think that's the case because of the journey we've been on with him. It's kind of him trying to put the pieces back together, you know. Um, but I'll ask you this though: do you think that all the after first of all, before I even ask you that question, can I say how much that last shot reminded me of Gladiator when he's walking through the fields of Elysium?
The field of wheat, yeah.
Yeah, like I was like, that's very Gladiator-esque. Good on you, mate. Good on you. Um,
Yeah, because in Gladiator, the first time we see that field of wheat, he's coming home, and then the
right.
next, it's after he dies and he's going into the afterlife.
But what if this, right? You're right. What if this? What if what if Marcus Stephen trade places?
Hmm.
What if Marcus Stephen because maybe let's say Mark goes and he fights because remember this is supposed to be a limited series. So Mark goes, frees Khonshu, fights Harrow and Amit. But what if in the fight he's dying in a way, and his last will and testament will be maybe he conjures up a deal in the afterlife. Look, take me and let Steven live in my place, and that's how it ends. And Steven lives happily ever after, in a way, or something like that. I don't know. What do you think of that? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think Jake personality still has a role to play here because, as far as I know, he's still back on the boat.
True.
So he
Hmm.
might try to make a deal with Khonshu to bring the Mark and Steven back.
So do you think he's like what somewhere on the below deck?
I think so because even though there's speculation that we've already seen Jake, but they never let him out of the sarcophagus.
Right. And so what is the scales going to have to do now? It's like, so what are the scales going to play in that sense if he's not out of the sarcophagus yet? Would he be the replacement instead? Like, or after this happens, would he be the one to that Mark lets out?
Or maybe the Jake personality becomes so brutal that he needs Mark and Steve to like even him out.
So okay, so then the scales turn back on themselves because they can't handle it. Okay, okay. What
That or Osiris may hit a reset button because we saw when they were out on the deck of all those souls dying before their time just dropping down into the sands. It
right?
even worried that goddess. So Osiris might hit the reset button to fix that and to get Moon Knight back up there to stop Harrow.
Thus freeing both personalities because that will
Yeah.
reverse. If that's the case, then that will reverse Stevens because his what I think the reward for him would be because of his sacrifice. It was really before his time. That wasn't his time, but it was a deed so noble that maybe they'll grant him that. I don't know. It's just a theory. But do you have any other like theories that you might be wondering what's going to happen next episode or we might we might go or what we might see because we haven't seen Layla since episode
Right.
4.
Well, they might do an episode where they show what's going on, you know, back in the real world.
Hmm.
Because sometimes series will do that when they do an episode like this. But it might be possible that I don't think Layla could resuscitate him from bullet wounds. So he still needs that healing armor from Khonshu. And she's
Right.
nowhere near his little stone prison. So I mean, there's a lot left that's left unresolved that they got to
Hmm.
give us some closure on.
No, you're right. I'm I'm also curious how the titles now are going to play a role in it because episode 4 was called The Tomb. This was called Asylum. I think this might have something to do with like him, we'll say his resurrection in a way. I wonder if they'll play into that.
Or the next episode could be even darker because if you've noticed the end credits, it's going through the phases of the moon. The next phase, I think, is the new moon, which is total darkness.
Steven, I'm speechless actually. that's no, that's a good because I'll be so upset, and I need to actually start doing that and just watch the full credits. I didn't watch them fully, but because I had to be like damn, I want to see the next episode. That's how I was today. I was watching this. I was
Oh,
trying
I
to finish
know,
it
I
up
know.
today at lunch, and it finished, and then you see Mark in the field of wheat, and I'm just like, damn it, what is happening? Like, come on. So
Hmm.
I think the next episode should be it might be a full hour because there's still a lot we gotta cover, even in this last
Oh
bit.
yeah.
Um, because we still got to see like somehow the rules, how some of the rules are at play, where exactly Mark is, how we get back, how does he come back to reality? Where is Layla? The war with Harrow and Amit. That's why I'm upset about the only 6 episodes. So I really feel like this one has to be the longest out of all of them. Now. It has to be an hour.
Okay, so wait, they're ending it on the 6th episode.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, but they got so much to cover.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I feel like it has to be an episode that is an hour long, and that's not even including credits. Like it has to be a full hour. There's no way that we have this much still left to cover, and you mean to tell me we're only getting 6 episodes? That's the thing that that's bothered me, and
Oh,
it's upset a lot of
you
people.
remember when
Yeah,
seasons were like 20 some
hmm
episodes?
dude, like I'm even good with 13 being max. I mean, 10. I'll go as low as 8, but 6. I don't know. I don't
I mean,
nah.
I, you can't tell a story as complicated as this one in 6 episodes. They got to be leaving it on a cliffhanger.
That yeah. Well, so you think? So do you think if they leave him on a cliffhanger, what is that going to be lead to? Like a movie, or do you think he pops up in another series?
Well, we'll probably be seeing all the chaos that Amit is doing up in the real world. The cliffhanger is probably maybe Moon Knight shows back up
Hmm.
without explanation, and then they'll probably cut it there.
Hmm. Okay. And what if he doesn't? Do you think they'll go? They'll do this again, where it's like the hero doesn't win. What if he doesn't win? Then what are the ramifications? Because
Well,
we have to talk. Mhm.
that's gonna carry out through the entire MCU. If Moon Knight doesn't succeed, it
Mhm.
has to because that's a worldwide event.
Mhm. Mhm.
Did you ever see
And
Eternals?
yeah, boy.
Okay, spoilers for people who haven't seen Eternals. But at the end of that, there's this huge celestial dead body just sticking out of the earth.
Mhm.
I mean, that's not going to go unnoticed. Same thing for what's going on with Amit.
Yeah, because and you're right. Because the Celestials, in a way, they are also gods in a sense. I th- that's the thing that I really questioned about Eternals. You mean to tell me that there is a Celestial that is about to be born out of the earth, and no one, not even the Avengers, showed up to an event like this? Only the Eternals.
Yeah.
It's
Or how did just our mundane science not detect that? Or how come, like, Tony Stark or Bruce Banner, some of the most brilliant minds in the MCU, even Doctor Strange, how did they not sense that?
I don't know. I think they might tie in with I think they might tie in with the gods because this is why I say this. At the end of Endgame, not Endgame, Shang-Chi, and they were showing them the Ten Rings, said it was ancient, it wasn't alien, it wasn't of Earth, no one knows what it is. What if that material connects the Ten Rings, the Scarab, and Celestial armor?
Oh, that's an interesting thought.
Mm. I I wonder because the Celestials, what I think in the comics, and correct me if I'm wrong, Steven, the Celestials were the ones who created the gods, sort of, kind of. They created the Eternals, and then they kind of, in a way, branched out from there. Is that correct or
Yeah,
no?
they pretty much seeded the cosmos with life and all that. But the purpose of that was the life on a planet, the life force was feeding the unborn eternal, much like an umbilical cord did from a mother to a fetus.
Hmm.
And once it got so populous, um, that was when the eternal or the celestial would be ready to be born. And some have also speculated that Thanos
Hmm.
may have his world may have suffered from a celestial, and that his idea of getting rid of half of all life in the universe was to
Was
stop celestials from being born.
what? That is, yeah, see, that's heavy. That's a lot of pressure. That right
So,
there
I mean,
is a hot take.
in a way, Thanos was trying to be the good guy.
I can see that. That's crazy. Wow. Yeah, I'm really at a loss for words. That's crazy. Because if that's actually what they were thinking, that's freaking brilliant. That's brilliant. So, and that would explain why Thanos in 2018 had the holy warrior mindset as opposed to, and the savior complex as opposed to 2014 Thanos, who was bloodlust, war ready, constantly just diminishing all that he could, just because he could. Wow, that's a very that's a very good thought. Uh, you know, that's what I'm saying, man. I think that the way they set up and how they introduced the Eternals, especially how they said in the beginning, there has to be a role that they created all the gods at some point, which is why I think maybe before we even, I mean, we might get Galactus, but I think they are setting up because there's so many different stories they could do. But the Celestials are not done at all.
No,
Uh, because what was it? Arisham says like he'll be back to judge humanity based on what how the Eternals, what were they supposed to do again? What was the order he gave him if you remember?
the Eternals were supposed to cultivate the life force on the planet
Hmm.
and cause populations to grow in order to feed the unborn celestial so it can be born.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Uh,
they were kind of unwitting pawns in the whole thing.
hmm. And since Arsham will be back to judge, and you're right, um, I think this is gonna have some massive wave like effects throughout the MCU. Especially now we're talking about supernatural things, and that's what we'll introduce next. I just wonder how. I guess I'm just wondering to myself how the Egyptian gods are going to tie in with the Asgardians and how they'll tie in with the Greek gods. I don't think Marvel has a Roman pantheon. I think that's only DC. Well, DC has the Romans and the Greeks.
Well, the Roman pantheon was pretty much the same as the Greek pantheon, just different names.
Right. Um. No, absolutely. Uh, it's going to be interesting. It's really going to be
Well,
interesting.
there's probably going to be some connection to the Celestials in the new Thor: Love and Thunder,
I
because
think so.
the God Killer, is the one who beheaded the Celestial Nowhere, which was in Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's true. And he's responsible for the death of, I forget the beast's name that Thor was friends with. The one that we see with him and Korg, and they see the giant carcass with the spikes.
Oh yeah, I can't
I,
remember the name of it off
it
the top of my
starts
head
with a
either.
starts with a V. It's what is it like? Hold on, one sec. We're gonna look it up here, ladies and gentlemen.
What's also
Thor.
interesting about that scene that I've seen is it's that whole scene is lifted right out of the pages of the comics. It's almost like an exact copy, except Korg is in the movie. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't in the comic book scene.
No, you're. Yeah, I think. And that's what I felt when I saw that. When I was doing the trailer breakdown for it, and I noticed it, I said, I remember reading this storyline because it was the three Thors, and they had that shot there with, straight from the, like, they lifted it straight from the
Yeah.
panel. And it's beautiful on screen. And you can see when they cut, right? When they cut to Thor's face, you can see the pain, or you can see like there's something out here. Like he knows something is up. My friend
Well,
is
there's
gone.
also fear there too, because that creature, supposedly it took multiple gods to take that thing down, and the god killer
Mm-hmm.
himself took it down. So
Mm-hmm.
that's, guys, something to be feared.
So watch this. Watch this. Do you think now, since No Way Home took place, I know we're discussing Moon now, but ladies and gentlemen, trust me, this all ties in. But now, since at the end of No Way Home, they introduced Venom, right? With Gore coming, are we going to get something along the lines of a King in Black story?
That's
Because
a good question.
Gore now has all black, or he'll be having all black in it. But that's really Noel's sword. So let's say he loses it, or someone takes it, or it gets lost somewhere, or whatever. Does it call Noel, and he comes and finds it, and he'll be a major player? Maybe they'll do that as a series. I don't know, because it's a lot of storylines that we got going here. I mean, just what do you think?
Yeah.
You know.
It might also involve more of the symbiotes as well, because Null was the god of the symbiotes,
Mm-hmm.
and the sword was technically the first symbiote.
Right.
And now that a piece of Venom is now in the MCU, I mean, they might be bringing the symbiotes to the forefront at some point.
Imagine, imagine Venom, or Venom possessing Moon Knight. You want to talk about brutal? Kids, stay at home. There's nothing to see here. You want to talk carnage? Oh yeah, there will be some
Oh yeah.
carnage. Let that be known to the puns. But uh this is just circling back to Moon Knight. This is what I'm feeling. All the gods at play. Um, I'm just thinking now they might use him to kind of just feature in other movies, or he'll pop up in future shows. Maybe he'll be like another connective tissue. I don't know, because somebody has to know about this guy at some point. I mean, Nick Fury. Like, come on. So,
Yeah, I mean, somebody knows.
mm-hmm. Or do you think that?
Maybe even the Illuminati that we're going to be seeing in
Mm-hmm.
Multiverse of Madness.
Do you? Okay, so do you think the Illuminati might be the ones responsible for making the Midnight Suns? Like, do you think like now as a council that since they're the greatest minds, do you feel like they'll be the ones delegating teams instead of Fury?
I don't know. Do you think Fury would actually let them have control?
I don't know. That's the thing, because it's
I
but
mean, for a guy without powers, I mean, he's pretty powerful.
yeah,
Just
you're
that
you're
attitude alone.
you're not wrong. It's I just think because of how they are and how they see themselves. It's like, well, we know what's best for humanity, and maybe that might have some ramifications. World War Hulk. I don't know, but I think they might have some run-ins. I don't feel like that this will be the only time they show the Illuminati. Because I feel like there'll be major players. It's quite possible that they don't, but I don't think that it's they'll. I don't think that this will be a one and done feature in
No.
Multiverse of Madness, which is in
Well,
eight
not only
days.
that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, not only that, um, the Illuminati themselves, that's bringing the mutants into the MCU because Professor X is one of them.
Exactly.
And Patrick Stewart has confirmed he is reprising his role as Professor X for that movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that there's a poster, and I think I have an idea of all who's in it. I know I've said this, but I think Captain Carter, Killmonger, Mordo, Professor X, Reed Richards, Captain Marvel, Maria Rambeau, and I want to say Namor and Black Bolt. That might be your.
Oh,
If they don't do the Captain,
I hope Namor's not on there. I
you
can't
don't
stand that guy.
really. You don't like Namor?
He's a jerk.
He is. He
He's
he
an
he
arrogant
is.
jerk.
He is. He's a badass, and it's
And he tried to
beautiful.
steal Reed's wife.
Oh yeah, we can't. We nah. No. That's we're cutting ties. That can't happen. The moment you try to make a move on a man's wife, that's
Yeah, that's
hmm
no bueno.
yeah. You head back to the ocean. You just go. um, I think that'll be our Illuminati, and they might. What if everyone's thinking? What if Moon Knight has ties in with Thor, right? Doctor Strange comes out next week. The final episode of Moon Knight comes out that Wednesday. What if we get a kind of a peek at someone from the Illuminati at the end of Moon Knight, other than
Hmm.
Professor X? I feel like it lines up in a way, maybe. Now, it doesn't have to be Moon Knight himself, but maybe because of the appearance of gods now, the multiverse is tying in. Somebody has to know because we're only seeing everyday people that are going about their business. Somebody key has to know what's going on and how the gods tie into all of this as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I could definitely believe that Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, would. I mean, he's one of the smartest human beings in the MCU.
Hmm.
Um, and he's dealt with otherworldly beings as well, just like Galactus. Um, and like you're saying, somebody's got to know, and they've got to introduce that concept because everything Marvel's doing now is on such a cosmic scale now. It's not just your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man on the street corner anymore.
Hmm.
This is galactic and universal events going on.
Exactly.
So that's
Exactly.
going to bring out the big boys.
Then that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking now there's gonna be because of the multiverse. I don't think it closes, and I don't even think they'll close it because now at CinemaCon I can't remember. Man, Kevin Feige said something along the lines of um the universe is or the multiverse is open, and I don't think that it'll close in this one either. Which is why I think the Illuminati they'll be coming from different points in the multiverse, and they know that there might be this one outside of Wanda. There may be some allusion to some outside or future threats on a cosmic level. Maybe they'll hint something towards the Celestials at some point. Maybe I feel like, or maybe we'll get a quick flash of something we might see in the future. I don't know, because it's all of this is for a reason. It's all tying together.
Oh yeah.
So it's all tying together. So I'm just thinking to myself, well, if that be the case, we got a lot coming our way soon, and it's going to be told through a lot of different movies. We got the Marvels coming up, uh, Ant-Man, Quantumania, Kang's got teased now, so we're getting time involved in this. I mean, I don't know, Steven. I'm here for the ride, man.
Oh, me too, man.
I'm here for the cosmic ride. It's going to be something special. Um, but you know, but before we go, final thoughts, final predictions. Next week, um, what are you feeling? How you think? What are you thinking?
Well, I obviously think Ahmed is on the loose,
Mm-hmm.
and Harold may be the new avatar for Ahmed.
Hmm.
and the other Egyptian deities, maybe they'll come up with the idea like, oh crap, we screwed up, and try to get Mark Spector back,
Hmm.
and maybe make a deal to release Khonshu so that they can get Moon Knight back to take on Harrow and Amit.
I 100% agree with you, brother. I agree with that completely. That's what I'm thinking. I was thinking maybe what if they get involved and did something like in Shazam and they had like a they started possessing or becoming avatars for random people and then they become like the Knight family or something like that. I don't know. Shazam family, Knight, whatever. Um, but no, I 100% agree with it. There has to be a deal that's struck because that court scene that's not they put that there for a reason too. Like there's a council of gods that they have to go through and talk to about certain things. And so since Khonshu's been trapped, like you said, Mark is gonna have to probably make a deal with the gods, get Khonshu out, fight Amit, because like you said, as they were going through the duet, there were more souls before their time that were just dropping and just showing up, and it's throwing everything off
Yeah, because they
balance.
don't even have a chance to go through the Duat. They're
Mm-hmm.
going directly to the afterlife in the
Yep.
sands.
Yeah. And they got because they got to the gates of Osiris, so oh yeah, it's going to be really good. I'm very excited to see where this goes. I still think we might get a Doctor Strange hint. I don't know.
That would be cool.
I think we will.
But honestly, I think I'm enjoying this Marvel series more than I have any of them.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. I started actually rewatching Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I'm just watching episode 1 again, which I thought was brilliantly done. Uh,
Oh, I enjoyed
I
it too.
I enjoyed it a lot. Loki just didn't really do it for me, and I know it's supposed to be a little bit different. It's not all. I mean, there's action. There's definitely action, but it's not as hyper. It's more like a mystery. I guess in a way you could treat it like how Jessica Jones was. That's how I could possibly, in a way, compare it. Um, One Division was just creatively well done. Just each episode was purposely well
Yeah.
done. Yeah,
Oh, I loved it when Vision went up against Vision. That was cool.
yeah, yeah. That was so we got to see White Vision and all. I was like that's
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Um, Agatha
And from
Harkness.
what I understand, the actor who plays Vision says he's going to be coming back, but
I
I don't know
believe
how.
that. I believe that because I don't think that I think now what they're trying to do because we had the Big Six or the Trinity, they were at the forefront so much. Now they're trying to push up some others through the ranks, and I don't think Vision got enough fair time, and we didn't really get to see all Vision could do and all that Vision is. So you're right. I can stand by that too. I can definitely stand by that with what he's saying that he's going to be in more things. What he'll be in, not sure yet. Maybe he might show up in Doctor Strange.
He
He,
might.
he
That would
might
be a
show
good
up in.
good time to do it.
Mm-hmm. I Oh, I want to give you a theory. I want to hear your thoughts on this. So there's this guy, Robert Meyer Burnett. Name sound familiar?
Can't say that does.
All right. He's like a comic movie hot toy collector. He's big nerd. You would love listening to him. He came up with the idea. He was like, well, what if they do this? If the X-Men are introduced, what if the way that it happens, there's Wanda screams or whatever, and you just see the shadowy figure going across the sun. And then all of a sudden, he's coming down and he picks up one and he lands, he picks up Wanda and takes her away. And the whole time, the being that's doing this is Magneto.
Ooh,
And that's what and it ends like that. What if it's Magneto taking Wanda away? like how it happened in what was it, House of M? It was House of M or Avengers Disassembled where he shows up like that. Um, but what do you think? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it sounds like they might do a reverse of the whole "no more mutants" thing that she did,
I think
where
so.
she took basically all their powers away. They might do a reverse of that where she inadvertently creates the mutants.
I Yeah, no, seriously. I heard that there was this one theory. I'm gonna try to explain the best I can, and it's the one that people are saying it makes the most sense. What if mutants were always there, but Wanda already kind of said the words in a way, and it was pre MCU, and everything would kind of, and I have to send it to you how it's explained, but it's like she appeared, like she says what she says, like no more mutants, way before the MCU even kicks off, and everything that we see is just a different timeline, just without the mutants at all, and everybody forgot. But then, Magneto shows up and does what he does, and it's like, oh wait, no, or no, she says what she says, and people remember, oh, there were mutants at a point in time, and boom, people just start popping up.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, that would be nuts if that's the
yeah.
case, and it would make a whole lot of sense. It would make a whole lot of sense as to why we don't get them and why they had to be referred to as miracles as opposed to th- creative juice is flowing. Okay, it's just
Oh, I
flowing
know.
like the Mississippi. It's doing all it can. The current is just it just won't stop. I love it. I love it all, man. I That's why I appreciate the MCU. That's why I can't understand why Martin Scorsese was say this is not cinema, sir. We've got some great genre based films, not just MCU, but DC's put out some too. The Joker, the Batman. What? You mean to tell me that's not cinema? The Captain America Winter Soldier, Civil War. That's not cinema. You're crazy. You're crazy. You're crazy. Yes, you made Goodfellas. Yes, you made The Departed. But if you can't, you're you're crazy. It's crazy. But Steven, my friend, I want you to be on next week, and we want to talk. We're going to talk this finale, because it's going to be a heavy hitter. And you're right. I feel like
Yeah.
I really vibe with what you said about the moon and the phases, and how. Hold on one second. Yeah, I'm gonna call you right back. But yes, I think that you're right. Each episode is going to get darker, and maybe it doesn't end on a great note. It's possible. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. But I think with the phases of the moon and all, that might play a role too. And it starts with a new moon, which would kind of be the reset in a way of total darkness. So this is why, Stephen, you're here. You're the mind. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, that is all the time we have today. I want to thank you for watching and joining. I want to thank Steven for joining today. It's always a pleasure, my friend. Tell people where they can find you if they want to discuss more like D&D, comics, movies, whatever. Even you're telling me about your cryptid studies. If people are interested in that, like just tell them where they can find you.
Well, they can find me on YouTube at D&D Ghost Camper, where I talk about tabletop gaming, uh, the paranormal, and just camping as a hobby.
Camping it's a great hobby. It is a great hobby. To go out in the woods and just be with now. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about that. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Midnight. Steven with another Moon Knight episode 5 review. As you can tell, we enjoyed it. We enjoyed the hell out of it. We loved it. We cannot wait for next week. The finale is going to be great. I hope to see you all there. Keep watching. Stay tuned in. You can find me on Instagram at the Midnight Cinema 41. Follow me on Twitter at the Outlawed Mime. And just want to talk movies, comics, theories. If you just want to talk life, I don't care. We can talk. It's no problem. You guys stay safe. And remember, one pack, one nation, one smooth howl. Howl! Gotta love it. Yes, sir. Oh man, we are. Oh shoot, hold on. The mouse is acting up. Great. Hold. Steven, we're still, we're still here.
Yeah.
Jeez.